Oh, it was fine to keep it at that angle. I was okay. I think I was sitting over here.
Okay, there you go. I can totally relate to y'all. I know how that feels.
She has already.
Just for the guys.
Yeah.
Everyone's from that.
I totally relate with you, so.
Other than that, she's doing great.
I didn't know, I told some people, you know, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's. But she's doing great.
Well, that, you know, and that's interesting.
Are you ready for me to do invitations? Print some?
Yeah, I think we ought to print some,
Okay.
but it is the Wednesday, not the Thursday. You thought it was a Thursday, but we did change it to Wednesday.
You're Jim, right?
I'm Kirk.
Kirk, sorry. Why do I always get your name
That's okay.
confused? Kirk.
So it's not Thursday the 5th, it's Wednesday the 4th.
Right.
Oh, man.
Is that for that tournament?
Yeah.
We talked about changing it for some reason. I don't remember the reason we changed it. But we changed it at the last meeting.
I was thinking it was the city council meeting that got changed to the 5th. But we went back and forth.
We went back and
So I
forth,
guess-
yeah. I checked with Larry because I know Larry sent out the invite to the governor.
Oh,
So I
you better
checked, that
keep
was,
it
the- so I said, what date you sent, Larry? And I said, that's the day.
Okay, yeah. We'll work on an invitation then.
Well, Marty, can you send me the link? I can't find it.
Howdy, howdy.
You want me to send you the link off of the email?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in search for.
Morning.
Oh, I think I found it.
Did you find it?
I think so.
Okay.
I did.
You didn't?
Doing well, how are you?
Table.
For you.
Whoever gets here first.
Right. I got Larry Skinner out of the, get him in the office. How are you? All right, Joe. Good.
There's already issues.
You live in the dream still? Pardon me? You live in the dream still? I am now. I'm in city office. I know. That wasn't what I meant. I meant retired, you know. Yeah, that's pretty good. I know. Someday. Someday.
Oh.
I found it.
All right, I just sent it to you.
Yeah.
You want the link?
I got it.
Right.
Hi, Kurt.
I'm doing well.
Good.
How are you?
Good.
Did you enjoy last night?
How you doing, Dan?
Staying there.
Pain in there.
Okay, that's good enough.
Holes.
So it's cold.
So is that all we have online?
Just, yeah,
Just
Teresa.
Teresa?
And Teresa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Mayor's there. Well, now the mayor's here, we can get started. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. You know, it's a very cold day, but I just think February's here, middle of February, winter's almost over. So if this was in December, then you'd think, oh, we've got a long ways to go. Okay, so thanks for being here. So the first thing on the agenda, I should have printed one for you, but find my agenda here.
I have mine. You want me to go make copies?
Yeah, why don't you make copies? I can have copies real quick.
Good morning, how are you?
McKinda sent out the minutes, so do we have any questions on the minutes? And if not, we'll take the motion. Approve the minutes.
All motion to approve the minutes.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next one is introduction of our new members. Well, Jim, why don't you just tell them a little bit about yourself? I know we interviewed you last time. so,
Yeah.
but
It's going to be a repeat story, but it's the same.
Larry?
So I'm Jim Rowland. I grew up in upstate New York, a small little town like Payson, one stoplight. And
Just can't remember my.
it's great to be back in the small town, society. Pursued professional golf, took me to the sunny, warm Florida weather for 35 years. I joined the church down there. My golf didn't quite earn a living, so I had to go get a job. Raised my 4 kids. Enjoyed the summer and the winter, the summer weather in the winter. And we got laid off from our full-time jobs due to COVID. Had 2 beautiful grandbabies out here in Springville and decided to come out and live next to them. The closest place we could find a home in 2020 was Payson. So didn't know anything about Payson other than the temple. Our stake president in Orlando was actually the temple president here, Blake Sony, you may know. So that was pretty fun. First he moved to St. George before I got here. So I'm here. I love the community. I loved all the events. The grandkids and daughter and son-in-law and wife. We enjoy all of the activities in town and just really have fallen in love with it. We went to a meeting last night in Salem as the sun was setting and the mountains turning orange and purple and it's just spectacular. Every time you walk out the door, even in this 10-degree weather, it's just beautiful. I really enjoy being here.
thanks, Mark.
Mark Kershaw. I've been living here for about 20 years. My wife and I moved down from Sandy. I can still remember when we were looking for some place to move to because I work with Deer Health. I had a clinic down here in Payson. I told my wife, hey, I think I found a place we can move to. And we were looking really high. She says, where is it? And I said, we just got to come take a look. And she says, well, tell me where it is. And I said, well, it's down here in Payson. She says, I'm not moving to Payson. And well, you can see the rest is history. We moved down here and we've absolutely loved it. It's been a great place to raise our kids. I've been with Deer Health for 20 years as well. And it's been a great place for me to also, I've coached each of my kids in soccer, competitive soccer. It's given us a great opportunity. We actually helped start the Nebo United Soccer Club down here years ago when it got started as a cost affordable way of getting kids involved in soccer. So this is my last year with my son. We've got one more tournament down Cedars, no, down in St. George during President's Day, and that'll be it. So I'm wondering what to do with my time, and so I don't drive my wife nuts. Payson's given us so much. I thought, gosh, it'd be nice to be able to be a little more involved. I've known Larry and a bunch of other people who've served here before in different capacities, and they've talked a little bit about what they've done here over the years. And so I thought, maybe I can help. So,
Larry.
Well, there's not very much interesting to tell about me. My wife and I moved to Payson in 1976. She was an educator, taught at Payson Junior High and Payson High School for many years. I worked at Mountain Land Supply, if you're familiar with that, for 43 years. Actually retired as a part owner of the company, and now just spend my time harassing my wife. That's all I said.
Hey, thank you. So, Kirk, why don't you introduce yourself? I don't know if everybody knows who you are, so.
Okay, so Kirk Beecher, I took Brian's spot on the council, so when he had to leave. So I've been in Payson for what, almost 18 years now. So it's been a little while. I really enjoy it here. Before that, I lived up in Pleasant Grove, north of Utah County. I like South County. It's nice. So I like it out here. So it's good. I work for Central Utah Water. So snow's a good thing. Don't whine about the snow.
So we're not.
Cold's
So,
not great, but snow's good.
how long were you on the planning commission?
I was on the planning commission for almost 9 years. So, and then when Brian left, they asked me if I'd throw my name in the hat. And we had to do that weird interview. That was the strangest interview I've ever seen. So, open council meeting with all the candidates. Jim was there. So yeah, that was the strangest interview I've ever had.
So Kirk's not on our committee, but I invite all the city councils that want to come participate. They have time, so we're glad you're here. So then Ben has been on our committee for some time, but we had some problems getting the right email to it, so that was my fault. So Ben, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
I work for Devo School District. I also live in Payson, been here for 28 years. Spent a lot of years up at Payson High School. When me and my wife have been involved in the city for a lot of different capacities, and raised my 4 kids here. It's just a great community.
Okay, so welcome. So, yeah, his wife was on the city council for some time. So.
What do you do for the school district?
I'm the assistant superintendent.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yeah, we did. Dan made the motion and Jim seconded.
I'm just making copies.
Okay, next thing is visit assignments and reports. Pull that up real quick. So there's our assignments. We might want to add a few more for new members of our committee. Actually, we were looking through the ordinance from the city. This is a board, not a committee, so I need to correct myself. Board members. So this is who you're assigned to, and if you remember, there is I've sent out the new ones, but there is a Google Docs that you go into, and as you visit, your person put some information there. It's really interesting because we've been talking about maybe trying to do a rail hub, and so Ty's on here, but he went out to Raylock, Napa, and talked to them, and he did ask about rail, and they bring a lot of stuff in on rail, but they railed up to Salt Lake and then they truck it down to Payson. So as we're talking about the rail hub, and I know almost every RFI request for information I've gotten from EDC Utah lately has been, they want rail, which before you hardly ever saw rail, but now almost every single one wants rail. So anyway, so things like that we can learn as we go out and visit these companies. And again, remember, it's just we don't want to miss out on an opportunity for them to expand here, or if they have problems. And one of our things in the ordinances that we are kind of the conduit between the businesses and the city council and city. So anybody have any report on something they visited in the last month? And then if we do, we want to add some more here, and the ones that don't have an assignment.
Yeah, I actually had a long conversation with Payson fruit growers. The general manager, I forget his name now, but he was talking about them trying to get into retail. So they've been kind of a wholesaler all along, and they've started to package their cherries in more of a retail product. So I don't know where that would take us, but a really fun story. He told me the history of it.
Yeah, I've been trying to get it to build on the front of the building, which is really ugly, and put like the one down in the cheese place down Beaver, but it'd be the cherry place. They've talked about it, but they're pretty conservative. So we
Brian?
yes.
I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I keep mixing this meeting up with our other Wednesday one. So anyhow, I would like to let everybody know I have been in touch with Kenny Kimball, the president of Smith's, and also senior vice president with Kroger, kind of a dual role there. But he has told me that if you remember, we met with Lisa from Kroger. Brian, remember her?
Yep, yep.
She's no longer working for Kroger, and they've hired two other a real estate developer, on their side of it. And he said they're very, very aggressive. They're no longer concentrating for the future times. New Mexico, they'll revisit that, but they're concentrating on Utah and I believe maybe Nevada. But they're very, very aggressive, and he's going to make sure they get out here, and we'll meet them. But they're very, very interested about doing a Smith's Marketplace here in Payson. So just wanted to report that.
Great, thank you. So one of the new board members, would you like to do PPC packaging? Lynn's on our board, but I still, just like the Needville School District, we have somebody assigned to that, so they feel like they're somebody visiting them also. But anybody would like to, it's actually Temkin, but we got bought out. So anybody new that would like to take that on as a first place to visit and get to know.
I don't know anything about them. I don't even know where they are.
Down the business part. Big.
I know it.
Don't do that, Larry. Okay.
And when you say visit, you just
Get to
get to
know.
know the business, what their plans are, things like that.
Yeah, and just so they trust you, and if they have a problem, they can call you and say, hey, I got this problem. Can you help me resolve it? Because it's really hard for the city to get to know all these people. They're so busy doing what they're doing. Is we want to just be that person that we can see them more often. And these are the ones that we figure is kind of the ones that are most important to pay. Every business is important, but either they have high employment or they're our tax base or something like that. So, yeah.
So we had a chamber meeting last night, and we're working on our ambassador program and how to meet. And the one topic that came up is when we go to introduce ourselves or meet them, we need some kind of an agenda. Instead of just kind of showing up and saying, hey, I'm Jim from the Economic Development Board. Now what? So what I was going to do for the chamber is kind of come up with the benefits of being a chamber member, and just kind of have some bullet points to talk about when we go meet. Is that something that maybe you could do from an economic development standpoint, or just so we're all on the same page when we're going to meet these people? And
Yeah, I think maybe just for the introduction after that, it's just, every business is different, has different needs and that. One thing is we don't have to sell them, join anything.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just us going to visit them, so.
So maybe there's some, just some kind of information that we can maybe share.
Right. I think last time we talked about, and maybe one in this meeting once in a while, we'll say, can you go and ask about this? We ask it, see if you can find out about if they need rail. So we could find out some information from our businesses about rails. Yeah, then.
Are we luring companies to try and come and be a part of adventure days, or things like that?
That's a good
Kind of booths or things like that? Maybe we could talk about getting them involved some way.
Yeah, that'd be great if we build somebody that could do that, yeah.
I guess I just don't know what kind of details we're looking to add to adventure days that they could lend to, or anything else. For that matter.
Or just let them know what's happening, right? They may not even be aware it's happening.
Well, I'll bring that next time. We'll talk about it.
Right, we get, if possible, to get contact information for or the board.
Yep.
And also the Google Doc, if you,
Yeah, I need
mentioned, you need to share that with us if we're gonna be able to add to it.
Yeah.
Looks like you were walking.
Anyone take that?
Pumpkin, yeah, it just.
Oh,
Larry's gonna do it.
There's the man for it.
So do we have a couple more? We got a few more here that don't have assignments. So do we have any businesses we think that? Yep.
I can report on my meeting with Dory Ferris.
Okay. Yeah.
Recently. So they have 4 locations, 2 in Murray, Idaho, and then down here in Payson. They have 284 employees. On the Google Doc, I talked about our meeting, but one thing she brought up was trying to get our foot in the door with MTech Orm campus to do RV tech training. She said one of the hardest things in the industry is to send someone to tech school in Texas or Florida, and they have to pay for it, and then they come back and they want to pay a raise because they're certified now, and then sometimes they aren't loyal to it. So she mentioned it'd be nice to have something local. They're trying for the Orem campus, and hopefully something can happen MTech here in Payson. But then she also talked about she needs help with Nebo School District because they're wanting to do something in a high school level to kind of help out that way. And so I mentioned I bring it up in this meeting and see if there's any ideas for that we can help them out with. But that's how our meeting went.
Good. So Ty, do you know Ben Ford?
I, by name only.
So he's the assistant superintendent.
Yeah, I heard on the Zoom meeting. Well, sorry.
Hey, Brian, this is Kevin.
Yeah.
I'll just report quickly on my visits, but I also have something to add to this discussion. But I appreciate everybody being willing to move the meeting. We wanted to get Ben here. I see he's there. I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but I appreciate everybody allowing us to move the meeting so Ben could be more involved. But I've also met with the superintendent a couple of times about our efforts in the education arena and looking at internships and different things that we're doing. But I think one of the things that MTech could do if they're looking to connect with the high schools, we're actively involved in their HOSA programs, and Ben may be able to speak more about those than I can, but I know, they've got high school or Healthcare Students of America. It's kind of a club, but they round in the hospital, do different things. that may be a good touch point for them if they're looking to, to connect with the high school and see what they can do, maybe to interact more with students that are thinking of healthcare careers.
What was that group again?
It's HOSA, HOSA. It's Healthcare Students of America.
Okay.
Ben, anything to add to that? Do you know much about the HOSA programs?
Yeah, I know quite a bit about it's one of our CTSO programs. We have them in, there's about 6 that we operate. And we use the hospital heavily for that program, but each of our high schools has a health club organization that runs through our CTE arena.
But anything on the RV front that you want me to report back to Paris RV, or?
We don't do anything with RVs. We do specifically, but we do have automotive repair and collision.
Okay.
But there might be some conversation that could possibly be had with our CTE people about some partnership there.
Okay.
To where we could possibly hook up and do some internships like we do with the healthcare, because the hospital is a huge contributor for us.
Yeah, she was kind of looking for something and even willing to help out, like internship stuff.
But even if we did something through the Advanced Learning Center, through one of our collision program, where they could come over, or how that would work. We've got a couple of programs as a entry-level spot to get kids that might be interested.
Great.
So
I think it'd be really good for them to tour that Advanced Learning Center and get to know them. And that was, I didn't finish my thoughts, but that's what I was thinking is more of a internship for Paris RV to see if they could get involved, and it's worked really well for us. So
yeah, and that would be good for them to come and look at what we've got and see how that would tie into what they need.
Yeah, she mentioned even using our facility to help.
So on the Advanced Learning Center, I know you do stuff at UVU. Do you do anything with MTech at all there? Or just UVU?
Yeah, we've got some reciprocal agreements with MTech. A lot of our engineering, I don't know exactly, we can't recall now, but we have a lot of our hours that they do at the ALC will transfer to MTech, or they will transfer to UVU as concurrent enrollment.
So just a little bit follow up on Paris RV. So
Yeah.
MTech is going to do an internship program with the Paris RV. They're trying to get money out of this legislature. If not, then the Utah RV Association is going to pay for this first year. So I think that's where they're looking at how to recruit maybe some high school kids to get this internship program. So then some of those guys in the RV, they make over $100,000 a year. So.
Oh yeah, we know we've had the automotive repair people coming in begging us to help them because they got the same thing, 6-figure salaries. There's no way to take them. One thing that we did 2 years ago is when we used to have the automotive repair was at Payson and the collision was at Spanish, which really limited our access from the other high schools, which is why we moved those programs. We built state-of-the-art shops that have, they're went out and whatever, when we put them in 2 years ago, that was the industry standard. Their brand new shop was then open them up to all 5 high schools, so that we're now offering that to students across the district, which really helped up our level of students that are really interested, because one high school a lot of times didn't have highly, they would fill the classes, kids that were really going that direction. So we now have kids that are really more students looking for that as a career. So it's really opened the door, I think, to maybe help someone like Paris RV.
Where's that facility?
It's in Salem.
yeah, hey Brian, it might be a good idea to organize a tour for our whole board, to visit there. It's a really impressive facility, and it might might spur some ideas about these kinds of things, what potential there is for internships and connectivity at the high school level, which is one of our goals, as we talked about, the education arena. So
right,
if you haven't been there, you need to see it. It's impressive. It's a resource that I wish was there when my kids went to school. They would have loved it, but it's a cool place.
it is. So yeah, let's do that. We'll plan on doing that so everybody has an opportunity to see. Because it goes hand in hand with the MTech, what we're trying to do here.
You might be able to schedule this meeting, maybe.
No.
No, there, just have a meeting.
Okay, so for next meeting, let's see if we can maybe, unless Robert has a couple ideas, do you have any businesses that aren't on this list or kind of sales tax, high sales tax or high employment that we maybe could add to this list that we could be visiting?
I have some that will go on to that list when they get a little bit more established. When they, but our business park right now is filling up fast, obviously. And so I think that this list is just gonna get bigger and bigger. The one thing that I would just mention though, is that I think it's really important to have this list, but per square footage wise, small businesses also bring in an enormous amount of revenue to the city. So they shouldn't be forgotten. They shouldn't be disregarded in what they add to our city, right? So I don't know how we incorporate that element into the conversation.
And the way we're doing that, the plan is that the chamber will be doing a lot of these. We're taking some of these higher end. The chamber will be doing that. They're going to be reporting back to us. We'll be reporting back to them. So that's kind of the way to take care of that. So yeah, it is. Everyone's important. Okay.
Hey, Brian,
Yes.
I've got one more thing to add to the businesses if I might.
Okay.
David, Charles, I know that you're over Jones Paint and Glass, so I don't want to step on anything you have to say, but I happened to go down and buy some paint from not Jones Paint and Glass. It's Sherwin-Williams. I don't see it on the list here. But I went down to Sherwin-Williams and they're extremely happy with locating in Payson. They were just getting ready to do an order for 5 figures. In fact, 20 minutes after I did my business, that they were going to ship that out. So they're very, very happy being in Payson.
Great, thank you. Who else do we have on there? I can't see them all. Is there?
Yeah, I've got a relationship with Logan and Sherwood.
Maybe we ought to add Sherwin-Williams on there. I don't see it on there.
Yeah, and we can add that, Mayor, but here's the reason I think we added Jones Paint Glass, because they were gonna have retail and manufacturing, so it's
Right.
not, if you start doing every retail at like Sherwin-Williams, we're gonna have like probably 30 that size, so I think that's kind of reasoning for that, but if we can add anybody we want to this list, but.
Last time I brought up Sunstone Engineering Manufacturing. I don't know if they belong on the list, but I don't know how much they bring in, but they're a big operation.
Is that the one across from?
Over by Tech.
Oh, they're in the business park?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Sunstone's by where that Cordoby is.
Yeah.
They're in that kind of strip mall there on the south end. They're also looking at maybe relocating in Payson on the building that Mark Weldon's looking at. They're looking to build, so they may be looking to upgrade or expand.
I think the business across from Olson's Garden, just right there. I think there's something engineering there. Their building's up for sale or lease. So
Olson's Garden should probably come up.
Olson's Garden.
And I know there's
a good in with the
Right.
I know there's some board members with 2 or more. Maybe we can split those up with some of the
That's true.
new board members too.
Okay, so Sunstone, Olson's Garden. Okay. And maybe sure.
I know Brad and Chris down at Olson's.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Yeah. You want to do that, Mark?
Sure.
Okay.
And I think another item of discussion when you go in is just find out if there are any concerns with some of their city services and things like that, that maybe we can improve on it. That's open enough. We might. Not Michael right here.
It might be a can of worms.
I know. But anything we can do to help improve service and stuff would be helpful.
Yeah, and it's okay to open the can of worms because someday they'll get opened anyway. You might as well be proactive instead of reactive. So can of worms are good.
Yeah, just an example, Raylock, had some questions and Jill actually responded and, informed them about a meeting they had no idea about. Anyway, it was good.
Okay. Next thing I want to talk about real quick, and then we're gonna go into goals is, just committee assignments. I really would like to have these committees be more active, I guess. I'd like to have them as at least once a month that these committees have meetings and come back and report back, because 1 hour here, we just don't have much time to get anything accomplished. It's more come back and report. So the golf committee, that's doing great. Chris does a great job. It's active. If we could all do it like Chris, maybe Chris, you can tell us how you do it. And then we can just follow your example.
You make this sound so good.
Why don't you tell us how you make this committee work and how it's accomplished?
Well, I guess we have the golf event and then we have a meeting after to talk about what we can do to improve and set the next one. And then it kind of sets up the next year. And, like just right before we talked about needing to get the invitations done. And then probably come April, we'll have our first committee meeting. Again, start gearing up for that one. But it's just a matter of just keeping it in your forefront of your mind of what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. So in my book, if you try to stay on top of it, it makes it less time consuming and a lot more easier and more efficient to stay on top of it. So I don't know what else to contribute more than that.
Well, you set up meetings and you send emails out, and you get people coming. So it's just, as a chairman, just have these things happen.
I think one difference with the golf committee is you have that deadline.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It helps.
The rest of our committees are just kind of a little intangible, so I think you gotta make something tangible.
Okay, so so the next one is kind of a strategic plan website and messaging. And that's a huge committee. And Dan, are you still okay to be?
I am, yeah. I wish I could say that there's been a lot of traction. I know we're working with Robert, trying to get some mapping done. But as far as the strategic plan goes, it's been a while since we met.
Okay. So another thing I think would be good to on these committees as you meet is kind of come up. Here's what we'd like to accomplish. Here's what kind of our goals for these committees are. And then as you go to your committee meeting, you can see how you're doing on those. So anybody would like to be on that committee that's not on there, or we have
Lorraine's here to get on a committee.
tell us what committee you want to be on, Lorraine.
I don't know, I'll serve wherever you need me.
What's your, I think, if you tell us where you want to serve, because that makes, if you have the passion to do it, then that's the best place.
Well, definitely, I was hoping to help with the Home to Adventure and Adventure Days. Already been talking to a few people on that. I don't know, your MTech committee's small if you need help there. I have worked with them a lot. Happy to help on the strategic plan too, also.
Okay.
Just
Business
don't put her
retention.
on all three committees because we still need her on.
I know, I'll just put her on one. So business retention, David Charles is in charge of that. I put Jim on that because of the working with the chamber and that. Then UVU MTech, Mark, as he said, he'd be happy to chair that, and I think he could do a great job. So we'll put Mark to chair of that. we'll put Lorene on that committee also. Any others would like to be,
Mark, if you need help, I'm happy to help.
So that'd be great. I probably just need to figure out what I'm doing first. Ask a lot of questions.
Brian, I'm happy to continue to help on the MTech UVU committee. I'm glad we've got a new chair. I haven't done much there. I apologize, but I'm happy to continue to help Mark any way I can.
did I throw you off of there, Kevin?
No, I think I asked you to do that.
Okay. Then our downtown committee, that Ty's doing that, he's doing a good job with that. They meet regularly and then he can come back and report to us. Does anybody want to be on the, I don't know if we need more on from here on the downtown committee because he's got other people on that. So I think we're probably pretty good on that, unless somebody really has a passion for that. Then the business recruitment, I'm chairing that, and Jill and Dave and the mayor, Tom Bragwell and Robert, I'm in that committee. If anybody has any interest in that, just give a report back on. Because we're having 2 site visits this next week. Gun range people are coming out for 2 days on Monday and Tuesday. We have things scheduled for the whole 2 days to bring out their new chairman of the board and their CEO and 2 board members. So that'll be should be a good visit. It's been kind of like this, a roller coaster because of BLM, but if we didn't have to worry about BLM, they'd probably already start building. So
Is that business a chain or is it a standalone?
They're a 501c3, so they're a nonprofit, and the kind of way it started is that the government back at Teddy Roosevelt started this CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program. Back in the 90s, the government wanted, and it was run by the government. They wanted to shed some stuff to save money, so they shed this off, and nonprofits took it over and started it. They do have one in Talladega. They're building another one someplace else, and then they do meets around the country, things like that. So they do have a long track record to it. So then we have a site visit called No Cap. They're national. I think they're out of Germany. They're international companies looking at a site here in Payson. They have 6 other sites or 5 other sites are looking at Utah, but they're coming on Tuesday afternoon. So they'll be here Tuesday afternoon. So this be, I think since I've been here, this is only the 3rd site visit we've had. So this will be good. So if anybody's interested in that, the business recruitment, that's a big one. I think one of these 2 committees, I think will be kind of working with either the retention or business recruitment, making the makerspace with MTech, and we're working trying to get some space for an innovation center too. So we have these startups or home businesses that want to start into growing a little bit in Payson. There are about 300 or 400 home businesses, I think, in Payson. So if we could help them grow, that's how Rocky Mountain ATV, Temkin all started in basically basements or garage, and look what they've grown to. So I think growing the businesses here is easier and better than trying to recruit businesses in. Okay, any questions on that? Anybody? Good. Next thing I want to do is just talk about the goals for 23. So does anybody have good handwriting that would like to come up to the board here?
Not me.
Okay, Dan. So what I'd like to do is just go around the room. Go around the room and just say some of the things that you'd like to have as goals for this committee to get accomplished this year. You can think outside the box, inside the box, anything that you think, this is what we want to get done in Payson for economic development. And economic development really can cover the whole gamut from housing to our branding, home to adventure, to recruiting, to retention, to infrastructure. I mean, really, it all comes together. So anyway, I'll start with Ty. Ty.
All right, like me. I think about how important resources are. So sometimes it'd be nice if this committee was kind of more knowledgeable on resources such as our water, you know, yeah, power, gas, just education about that. So when we're recruiting businesses or talking to existing businesses, we'd be able to help out a little. That's something on my mind always. It might be the farmer in me, but water is a huge deal, especially in the drought. I'm loving the snow, but I'm also hating the snow. But yeah, that's one thing on my mind.
Okay, any other things? Not just about what we want to learn here in the committee, but what for Payson to help it grow.
Sure. To help it grow. I think we're talking about, of course, being over downtown and stuff. Maybe looking at how we can coordinate some of our existing businesses with activities, and also using that to help recruit.
Okay. Chris, you want to go next?
Well, I was gonna say, to get the business retention committee active again and do at least a yearly, I know we initially tried to do it like every 6 months to do that, because there was a lot of information that was coming from the businesses back to the city. I'm sorry. So, I mean, I would like to see that committee get active again and re-engage with all the businesses, and then that kind of, kind of like with what Ty was saying, is coordinating the activities and the existing businesses and stuff, but just to kind of make it that much more productive for the city and for each one of the businesses.
Okay, any other ideas? Things we gotta have as goals.
All right, I'll go down with it.
It goes with that one.
Brian,
Yes.
if you're, what kind of ideas you're looking for? I've got a suggestion about the chamber and how they can capitalize on some city events. Is this appropriate time to do that?
Yeah.
We've had some meetings with the Scottish Festival Board, and we're anticipating a closer relationship with them. But and I've mentioned this to Ty before, and I think it's something with I believe Jim's here. I think that when the city has these events, that the chamber and the businesses in the area could capitalize on those events. When we have the Salmon Supper, we have at least 4,000 people that come, and the Scottish Festival, it ranges between, from what we're talking to them, and it's hard to estimate, but anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 people over a 2-day period. So there ought to be some kind of nexus there for the businesses downtown to capitalize on that. I know in our previous conversations, Ty, there was a feeling they didn't want to infringe on anything, but I think, and while I know the board is more than happy to have that relationship there, so that the things can kind of have a synergy. But that's just a suggestion to the chamber.
What date do you have for that activities? You're in June?
June 3rd, I think it is. Yeah. Venture Days. Day. That kind of goes along with all this with the World Adventure Day. All right, Kirk, do you have anything you'd like to see as a council person?
I don't have anything to add right now. I'm trying to get my feet wet and figure out what it is that you guys need to have, so.
Okay. So Mark, you've been in this town for 20 years. What do you see for economic development from somebody who hasn't been inundated from this committee? And
I know there's already outreach to the community about what's coming in, but maybe a better way or finding a different way to outreach. You know, I know with the community knows they can be a part of the resource and feedback. I know currently we have, for example, it may seem like a small thing, but we send out our newsletter via email. Some people look at it that way, and I don't know if this is even possible, but could we send it out like we do for alerts as text messages with a link to that? Because I know a lot of people look more on their cell phones now than sometimes email. And maybe that's a better way to communicate about what's going on with the economic development, just Payson in general.
so messaging what we're doing.
Right. And just helping people to be more aware, because you know, the last email was good. It talked about, I think, the topic that's on everyone's mind: who gets snowplowed first and why in their street. And that was helpful, but I don't know how many people look at their email versus now you got a younger generation looking more at text messages, and if you put a link on there, it might facilitate that.
Any other ideas?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Larry, you should have lots of ideas.
Some of them you probably wouldn't want to hear. I hadn't thought of resources until mentioned here, but that is critical. I mean, if our city is going to grow in any regard, we've got to manage our resources. I look at water specifically, and even in down years, drought years, a lot of our issues are water management rather than lack of water. And there is lack of water, but if we managed the water we had better, we wouldn't suffer. And not just Payson as a state, we wouldn't be as critical as it is. But as far as goals, maybe we set a goal to increase our tax base by, I don't know, what's a realistic number, 10%, 15%, 20%. Obviously, where we are not going to do it as a committee, that comes from growth of local businesses or new businesses coming in, but we obviously have ability to help in that regard through recruitment and contact with the businesses. And so maybe just set a goal of increasing our tax base by, and I don't know what the realistic percent would be, but.
Well, since you mentioned that, here's our sales tax right here. So right this year we're up 12.3% for this first 6 months. And so the last three years we've gone up 10, 7, 18, 13. And we thought some of that might be COVID, and it probably was, but it's still staying pretty strong. And there is a report that comes out and shows how we're doing with other cities, so we can tell if we're staying, just everybody's growing. And we've done a little bit better on that. And also, the other thing I was going to say was, even with like the grocery store going into Spanish or into Santa Cruz, you know, we still kept growing as they've taken some of that business away. So
Also, if an average growth is 15, 18%, then let's set our goal as 20, 23%. And see what we can do to encourage that.
okay, so
Can I add something else?
no, you can't. Your turn's done. No,
Right up there, understanding land availability, the whole committee understanding that a little better for businesses that want to come in. Because it's on city and staff a lot, but you know, maybe we can help.
right. Yeah, Robert.
So I was actually gonna say something that kind of leads into that. I would love as a goal for the economic development committee board to review whenever you are to actually review the general plan and look at this, the designations that we have, because I think that sometimes there's some competing goals there. And so let's have just a review of it. We can bring it up one day and say, this is what we have for future economic activity and available land. Is that going to be sufficient for our city?
That's a great one. Good, thanks.
I'll add in here, I think that both of these led toward the window to the city, which is the web page. That's my job. But getting that application going, it talks about the land availability. Kind of bring up the general plan, what projects are proposed, where existing things are, where plans are in development, all of that stuff. And then of course, just the website as a whole, really is where you find a lot of these announcements and things like that. So really kind of enhancing the website. I know we got a really good start on it here a couple of years ago, but it's really kind of needs to come alive at this point.
Yeah, put website down there. Okay. So Ben, you have a different perspective from this with the school district map and living here for a long time. So what would you see as something this committee working on that would help economic development?
I don't know that I have anything that's like helps more time to think about and figure out since this is my first time there. Yeah, so I don't know that I have anything to offer at this point.
Okay. Okay, Jim.
So one thought is office space to understand. If we got 300 or 400 businesses starting in the garage, the first step may be a small office before they move into an ATV facility. So to understand the availability of the office space and kind of get that kind of in our realm of understanding where the potential locations are for people to kind of move up or move into. Event locations is something that's on my mind, and having some kind of a business event. The word summit is used a lot in Utah. There's a lot of business summits, but home shows were, is something, just something that the businesses can come and display, and maybe in line with Onion Days and Scottish Festival is having a place for the businesses to show off to the public what they do and introduce their companies. So I really have had this impression for a while to have some kind of a business event. I just don't know what that means.
For years, Chandler had shop local. You still do that?
I don't really know what that entails. I've seen that word used a lot.
Brian's baby.
Yeah, something to draw the businesses out so they can display their products to either other businesses or to the public.
Yeah, I think maybe a kind of a shop local might be good because it helps our business. It doesn't help the ones that are employed so much, but I mean, we go to one like Walmart parking lot. Got like 20 or 30 businesses there. Show what they had and have local bands for high schools, stuff like that. Put signs around town. This is what's going to happen. It just reminds people. Then you can talk about, well, when they shop here, money goes to the park tax, which helps get the pickleball courts. Money goes to taking care of the city, fixing potholes and things like that. So I think that might be a good one too.
Yeah.
And that could be us kind of helping the chamber do that.
Yeah.
We have more of the chamber do that. But okay, that's a great one. And anything else?
No.
Maureen.
Oh, I was going to say with your resources up there, I think a couple of people have brought it up. You have a good resource in the chamber, like the shop local. I think if we can really build a synergy between the two organizations so that we're helping each other, we can support one another a lot.
Okay. Hey, Dave.
Good question. I missed some of the discussion.
We're just trying to, the goals for this group to work on for this year.
I like Larry's goal of increasing. I don't know if we go up 20-something%, but 15 or so, because I think COVID was a factor in getting additional funding, but I think just continuing to work with developers to bring new businesses in. I met with Woodbury, went to an open house last week. They've changed their organization a little bit. They're on their 5th generation of Woodbury. So Taylor Woodbury is the new president, and he's been down here before. We have a good relationship with him, and but just keeping those contacts with some of these developers that can bring in businesses. We talked about Smith's, Harmon's. They do have I think they have a letter of what's the fast food? I always forget it, the Chinese one. Panda Express, I think, is going to start building. They've got one more ready to go, but just keeping those contacts, and Mayor does a good job reaching out to like Smith's, and just making sure we have. I'm trying to put that in a goal, I guess. Just keep those relationships we have with some of the big developers that can bring the businesses in. Is going to help our tax base.
Hey, Dave, Todd Brightwell here. One of the things maybe we could try, we talked about some of the other developers that we've looked to connect with. Maybe Brian, you and I can just list all those out to make sure that the list is inclusive. And then we can put little action plans on each one of those to make sure that the connection is like Dave, you mentioned.
Yeah, I anything like that, you just keep the contact and let them know that we're here, that there's land, with our land availability, and make sure it fits within our general plan. I think a plan like that going forward, just make sure we keep those contacts. It helps, I think, in the long run. You might not think it helps, but over time, I think Mayor Wright was able to establish some relationships that we didn't think would go anywhere, and it helps bring things up.
And part of that, the golf event helps with that.
Yeah, that's helped immensely.
Thank you. Great. Anything else? Robert, do you have anything? I mean, you mentioned one, but do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I think it's a broad scope list.
Yeah. Teresa, do you have anything?
This is just, I don't know if this is going to help, but it's like I've watched little businesses come in, and I think they don't have a clue what it takes, because they start really small and they just are maybe there 3 or 4 months and then they're gone, because they probably don't have a budget for advertising. And I don't know how to get the word out to all the people, especially when they're up there around on the little main street, or the little areas up there. People don't even know they exist. So I don't know how you help businesses. We've got to get out there even for the little businesses, because the big businesses people notice, but they're not noticing the little businesses. And I know that that's part of the chamber, but it's still, we're just not getting it to the masses out there in Payson so that they know that these businesses are available.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Yeah, that's great. Just like I went to visit the bowling alley just yesterday, and for Venture Days. And I always thought, they're busy all the time. They have leagues, and so I just never think about going there. Well, they're only down to 2 leagues a week now, and maybe they're going to do away with it totally. So how many people go to the bowling alley? We just forget about it. So it's one of those small businesses. So anyway, so I think part of that was going with that innovation center. I think will help with some 2 of those things. With the innovation center. Yeah, Larry.
And I don't know that we put this up as a goal, but the businesses in town and the facilities and the department can help each other grow and take advantage of. And Jim, I guess, would be more about golf than me now, but I just remember I was golfing with a group of guys in Moab one time. And on one of the tee box, there was a bench. And the bench said, "This bench is provided by Mill's Malt Shop. We have the best hamburger in town. Thanks for coming to Moab. When you're through with your round, come and get a hamburger." We went over to that Mill's Malt Shop after our round, and there were several other groups from that we'd seen at the golf course that were at Mill's Malt Shop, getting hamburgers. I don't know how many dollars they brought in that day, but it was from that bench that they had put at the golf course. So, the golf course is a great facility in Payson. Some of the businesses, if they would think outside the box, could use that or other items, other departments in the city to help boost their own business. I was in Farmington, New Mexico one time. We're down there to play golf at a course down there that's a pretty nice course. We're driving down the street. The name of the course is Pinion Hills. Doesn't really matter. We're driving down the street and we pass a tire shop, like Ron Gordon's tire shop. And it said, "Play Pinion Hills on us." And so I'm curious. I go in there to see how I'm going to play Pinion Hills on this tire shop. When they have a special, if you buy a set of tires for us, we'll buy you a round of golf. Now, I'm not saying, I don't say that to say use the golf course. I'm saying there are other entities in town that some of the other businesses could piggyback on and improve both of their businesses. Yeah.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know how we promote that, but I think that's
I think if you activate the business committee thing in that meeting that you have, you can bring that up and say, hey, we can do some cross promotion. Are you open to this, and who would like to? I mean, because I've done that.
Yeah, Chris did that with Chubby's, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly my point with the Salmon Supper and Scottish Festival. There's an opportunity there for people to get to know that, especially people outside the city too, and inside the city, to know that they're there if they run a special.
Okay, thank you. Did I get everybody? Did everybody have a chance? I've got a few things there.
Hey, Brian, this is Kevin.
Yeah.
I got some comments, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
First of all, it's been a great discussion. I think there are a lot of great ideas. My comments are maybe more around goal setting process. And I would start with maybe a goal of this committee should be that we get goals from each subcommittee, and maybe ask them to develop 2 or 3 goals. And as I've listened to the discussion, the idea of shop local, I know we've done that before, but the downtown committee could flesh that out with not just a goal to establish a date to do that, but the tactics to make that happen, and report back with their 2 or 3 goals. We talked about Paris RV wanting to try to connect with internships and that, so the MTech and UVU committee and in conjunction with Nebo School District could talk about goals in their committee, but one may be to facilitate and establish 2 or 3 successful internships, by such and such date. But we talked earlier about the committees. Sometimes it's hard when you don't have something tangible to work towards, but it may be a lot easier to start the committees getting going if they have a task to develop goals for their committee and tactics of how to accomplish that goal and report it back to our committee. And then, I think a subset of our committee could take a look at that and use that to help fine tune and refine the bigger goals of the, I keep saying committee, but as you said, it's the board, bigger goals of the board. So I would suggest we assign each committee the task of developing individual goals for their committee, and no more than maybe 2 or 3. Probably just even 2 would be enough, and let those roll up to the board, and then build our board goals off of what we saw there, and in addition to tying to some of the the more global themes that have been talked about. So
great idea. Anything else, Kevin? Okay, I've just got a couple here. One of my is get the funding for the new interchange.
Good luck.
What can we do to help?
I tracked a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant and a hotel. And one thing I've run into is we don't have any freeway frontage land available for anything. I got people asking for that.
What was that?
Freeway frontage. Like Kenworth wants freeway frontage. I had a place called, the one to put in a truck stop. We have nothing available, so either we have to work with the city to have resources to go up north and go past the church, because the church property is there. And it's got this big thing that stops everything. And until we get the new interchange, nothing's gonna really happen there. So we're somewhere, we gotta find some, or we're missing out on these tax bases when we're trying to raise taxes. So that's gonna be a big ask, figure out a way to have some freeway frontage to bring these businesses in. So those kind of some of the things, those major ones that I'm looking at. So I think we're out of time here. So thanks everybody. I'll put these down and we'll kind of come up with a plan and I think if your committees can meet this month and come up with some goals and then also an agenda of what your committee wants to, what you think your committee should be doing, something like that. So anything else?
Can we get a list of the board members with their phone numbers?
Yep, yeah, I'll put
Contact
that down.
information.
So I think Mark asked for that, so I do that. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Do you have another copy of the?
Yeah, if you want one, I can.
Do we need to update the committee members on each one of those? I mean, is everybody still legit on those committees?
Yeah, I'll update it. I'll probably put that in Google Docs too. Okay, thanks, everybody. Got some great things happening, so have a good day.
Thank you.
Do you want me to reach out to David since I'm not reactivating?
Will, good to see you.
Dan.
Yeah, I'm actually.